Hey guys, it's Raggy Rog here, coming at you today from the new side of the desk. This side. Not that side, this side. What do you think? I want to talk today about Pokemon, because as a millennial, I have partaken in the pocket monster phenomenon that is taking the world by storm and has been for many, many years now. Today I'd like to list off my top 6 choices for Pokemon from Gen 1. The 6 being because you have 6 Pokemon with you in the games, even though this list doesn't necessarily reflect my choices that I would actually use in the game. These choices are going to be a reflection of my favorite Pokemon for literally any reason, whether it be for competitive, aesthetic, whatever, any reason that tickles my fancy. So the first Pokemon on the list, and also my all-time favorite Pokemon, is Primeape. The reason I like him is because, actually, when I was a young child, I was a very angry child. Lost my temper a lot, kicked and screamed, broke shit all over the place. And when I saw the episode with Primeape in the anime, I identified with that creature, perhaps, and I always have. He might actually be the reason why I have an affinity for fighting-type Pokemon in the games, and generally he's just, got a cool aesthetic. I love the idea, and I feel like he's grossly underrated, considering that in Gen 1, and I think Gen 2 as well, he had the highest speed stat of any fighting-type Pokemon, and made him really useful, so I'm surprised that you never actually hear more about him, generally speaking. The second Pokemon on my list, and also my second favorite of all time, is Haunter. Haunter, I feel like, doesn't warrant much of an explanation. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Haunter. I love his giant gaping mouth. I love that he's like a prankster. I love that he's got his floating hands separate from his body. His color is cool. I've always thought that it would have been better if Haunter was the last form in his evolutionary line instead of Gengar. Not that I have anything against Gengar, I just think that Haunter is more aesthetically interesting than Gengar, but that's not really, important either. The third Pokemon on my list is Charmeleon. Charmeleon evolves from Charmander, who was my original favorite Pokemon when I started watching, because I was 8 or something, and I feel like every 8-year-old probably had an affinity for Charmander. It's pretty well established he is the favorite. When he evolved in the show, I thought, that's it, he's my favorite, Charmeleon, locked in forever. And then Charmeleon evolved again into Charizard. And I think I'm the only person on the planet who was like, nah, I still prefer Charmeleon. I'm not sure why. I think I just really like Charmeleon's big claw hands, and his color scheme is darker red was a lot cooler. I think he had the exact same attitude as Charizard, so I don't think that was a factor, but definitely Charmeleon over Charmander or Charizard. Fourth on my list, grossly underrated Pokemon in every facet, Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee is the fighting type Pokemon, the kicking legend. People call him different things. I don't know what about his design intrigues me so much, but from the moment I saw Hitmonlee, I loved it. I just think he's so cool and different and unique. And I remember looking him up on Wikipedia or something, or Bulbapedia or something like that, years ago, and found out his design is based on something from some ancient culture or something it's everything has an origin like that, something like that. But statistically in the games, Hitmonlee actually has pretty good base stats. He has, a really decent move pool. I feel like from the first couple of gens of games, Hitmonlee would have been a consistently viable choice that you never heard about. I'm not saying people didn't choose him or train him, but I've never heard of it, and I've never heard many people talk about him either, which kind of saddens me, but, there's no accounting for taste. Fifth on my list, Scyther. Scyther, again, is another one who I don't think warrants much explanation, really. He's just got, like, the giant claw hands. I always loved his raspy voice in, like, the Orange League series in the anime when Tracy caught him, like, that voice that Scyther had with the rasp high pitch. I thought it was, like, just so menacing and cool and suited him perfectly. He's, like, the perfect design where he's got, like, proportionally, I think he's brilliant. He's got the right shape and sized wings. He's got, like, the right spikes, and, like, he looks sharp to the touch somehow, apart from the claws. You know, I'm not even thinking about the claws right now. I feel like if I were to, like, pat the back of his head, it would be spiky. I think he's just a really cool design. He's a really well-made design. And, again, statistically speaking, stat-wise, in the games, very viable. Attack-wise, his typing, everything has made him consistently a good choice, especially if you're restricting your style to, like, underused or never used, depending on what category he is actually in at that time. I think that he's just a great Pokemon. Not as underrated as the others, because I feel like there is a little more appreciation for Scyther. Definitely in my top 6 for Gen 1, and probably of all time as well, possibly. I haven't thought about him that much. Then, number 6, and I'll stress, this is in no particular order, but Dugong. Dugong is my number 6, and he's probably maybe meant to be a little higher in the list if I were ranking this in favoritism, just because out of all my other 6, you've got, like, all these, like, dangerous, like, angry Pokemon, fearsome, and then you've got Dugong. And I love Dugong. The first time I encountered Dugong in the show, I think it was the episode where Ash was, like, swimming in the ocean and a Dugong almost drowned him because it wanted to play. You take an offensive Chinese stereotype and turn that into a Pokemon, and you get Dugong. Because he has, like, a stereotypical Chinese man's voice, and he's just completely spastic. He's like an actual seal because all he wants to do is play. He's like a water dog, and I love that about him. Again, stat-wise, in the games, I think even as far back in Gen 1, he was a brilliant competitor. I feel like back in those days, a lot of people, the general consensus to them was, when you want to use an Ice-type Pokemon, you had the choice of Jinx or Articuno, which it wasn't the case. He is a water type, but he's also an ice type as well, and I don't think that was apparent to a lot of people. So he was actually a really useful and available ice type Pokemon to use in the first couple of games, where there weren't actually that many to choose from, where ice was one of the only things that could help you get past, like, a dragon type Pokemon if you didn't have your own dragon type. I feel like he was sorely underrated, like a few others on my list, but that's not even why I like him. I just think he's a funny bastard. Anyways, that's my top 6 Pokemon from Gen 1 for any reason in particular. I hope you enjoyed my reasons, and whatever, feel free to list your top 6 in the comments below, or not. I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do. Anyways, hope you enjoyed that. Till next time, I'm Raggy Rog, and I'll see you next time.